Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Summer School. Today, we have a very amazing, very special guest, Vanessa Joy, who I should have met at WPPI. You guys know I all went, but she was there and we didn't connect, and now she's on the podcast. So, better late than never, and I'm so stoked that you're here. And I'm going to let Vanessa introduce herself if you don't know her, and just tell us a little bit about, where she came from and how you got started in all this.
Thanks. It's fun to be here. I mean, I've been following you for forever, but as far as me, I'm a wedding photographer. I'm in Austin, Texas right now, but I am from the New York, New Jersey area, which is where I shoot half my weddings and where I started 23 years ago in weddings. So I dip my toes still in weddings as well as corporate photography. And really, the other half of my life is education. I love teaching photographers business really more than photography.
Hmm. How do you feel like that balance I would love to know. How do you feel like the balance of teaching business versus sometimes being like, "Oh, like, I feel like" I don't know if you hit this, but I felt like for me, I probably enjoyed business just as much as the creative side or more, and probably same with you since you're teaching it. Did
Yep.
you ever hit, like, an in-between kinda I hit, like, am I a good enough artist if I want to teach people on business? Did you ever hit something like that? I'm like, "This could be running straight into the
Yeah.
gun," but
Well, no, but it's true because people will say things like to me like, "Oh, you're an artist or a creative," and I don't even consider myself a creative person whatsoever. Like, no,
well,
I can take photos of things that are already pretty.
yeah.
I wouldn't say like I can't create pretty things. I just take photos of them. But I don't know. I've always liked the business more. I've liked it's like more measurable, I guess.
Hmm.
So like marketing, you can be like, okay, let's try this thing and we can measure how it works and we can decide to tweak versus photography. Yes, you get better, but so much of it is subjective.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Um, for me, it was more so almost hearing conferences, and at some conferences, it's, very, like, inspirational,
Mhm.
creative, and I, like, would leave them and be like, "Oh, no, what am I doing with my life?" And then I'd be like, "No, like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. I love business, and I wanna help people do it well," which is probably how you feel in a good bit of ways, and you also have many more years under your belt than me, which I don't mind saying. I think everyone can know I'm a, child, but I think we were wanted to talk a little bit about, like, old versus new photography in the wedding industry
Yes.
specifically. I wanna know,
Mhm.
what do you think about that, and what do you mean by maybe, like, an older generation versus the new generation, and what are, like, some of the differences you're seeing in this?
I remember when I first started, and when I started, oh my gosh, it was such a man's world. It was, you would go to these photo clubs and it was like nothing but men. I remember being
Mm,
one of the only two women in a room of 100.
wow.
And I think the other one was like a wife who was even a photographer. So when I first started, I remember I worked for somebody else, by the way. I worked for someone else for 5 years before I
Mm,
started my own business. And I remember liking certain things that he didn't. And the truth was that I was more the age of the client than this
mhm.
photographer was. So we would see eye to eye. But then the guy who owned the business would, for example, I'd come back from an engagement session that I felt like I killed and it was awesome. And by the way, at that time, that meant like cross processing and like tilting your photos and a little bit of
Tilting's back,
ridiculousness.
kind of.
Tilting is back. A lot's back. A lot is back. But I remember him ripping me apart like to shreds till I cried. Like, what is
Mm,
this crap? Like, where? And he wanted the standard photos. So look at the camera. I'm posed perfectly, following every rule of photography that there was. So then I was super fortunate. Like as I aged, so did the age of my clients. Like the average age of
mm,
someone getting married. So I was like the age of my clients for a good 15 years.
that's
And
amazing.
yeah, that was interesting. But now I think because I remember so well like what that felt like hearing the things that the old guard said and being like, "You're dumb." Now, like that's my biggest fear that I'm gonna say something and people are gonna be like, "Ugh, she's old and dumb."
No way. I'd love to know things that you feel like you think you might say, or you might not even know something you might say that you're worried, "Oh, the younger generation, they're gonna be like, oh, this." Like, do you feel like there is anything that you, like, love that maybe the younger generation of photographers might be like, "Eh."
Well, I love a good like blurry background. I
That
know,
is true,
you
honestly. That
know?
is true, yeah. That is kinda
Yeah.
going out. But I also feel like in certain subcultures, it'll always be popular.
Yeah. And I like the mix. So for me now, I feel like I'm always going to stick to like what I not even that what I like, but what I know I can nail every single time,
Mhm.
right? And I'm going to stick to that and it's going to fulfill expectations or whatever. But then there's a wedding, you're there for 10, 12 hours. There's so much room for experimentation and
Mhm.
pulling in those new trends. I mean, I do get a little happy like when I post some kind of trend, whether it's like direct flash or, blurry photo or something just more photojournalistic. And I get the old guys yelling at me, telling me how wrong I am. I'm
Mm.
like, oh, good. I'm not old yet.
Yeah,
They're the
your
ones.
your demographic online might pull more haters.
Hmm. So many. But you must get them too, right?
I don't get that many haters. I don't know. I was
Wow.
talking about, what would that even be called? Like, when people just comment bad things on your videos. What would that be called?
I mean,
Like,
internet trolls or
trolls? Trolls, that's what.
dads with cameras.
Yes. I was talking about trolls with someone else and just, like, some of the people that had, bad scenarios, I feel like, more so, like, just intense trolling, and,
Hmm.
I was like, "Eh, it just happens," like, it truly does just happen. Um, I don't feel like I get a ton, but I also wasn't posting as much these days as I used to, um, but I'm also not probably sharing as much easily hated content, I guess. Like, I'm not
Hmm.
putting, like, camera settings all the time, or, like, things where someone could be like, No, that's wrong." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I guess maybe that's why, but we're gonna, like, jinx me right now, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna get all the hate, all the haters.
All the trolls are coming
Come
out.
hate. It'll help the video do better. It's fine.
That's right.
I honestly don't mind it because I feel like it is truly just the game you play when you're posting online, like now I will say you post on YouTube, and YouTube
Hmm.
is like hate central. I've only
It
posted on
is.
it a couple times, like just shorts, and the comments, man,
They're wild.
they're crazy. I think people just realize like you don't really have like a YouTube profile necessarily, and so they can say whatever they want and no one really knows who they are.
Hmm.
It's mad.
It it's also the demographic of like uh, older men tend to watch YouTube and they also at least against me, I don't know, maybe someone who's an older guy can say, I don't know, the young girls are the ones that troll
Mm,
me, but for me, that demographic and who's typically on YouTube, at least to the extent of like actually interacting and commenting, that does
yeah.
tend to be an older male demographic, or at least the ones that come after me. Very rarely will I have a woman ever say anything
I'm
like
actually
mean.
surprised you get that much hate because I wouldn't feel like you probably post that much to get that. That's how art is subjective, you know?
Hmm.
All of it is subjective. What is maybe something else you are worried about like in the old versus young? Like we said tilted photos are kind of in again, but what is something you're worried about like maybe you might I don't feel like you fall into that camp, but what do you feel like could maybe be something that could cause you to fall into that camp if you weren't like focusing on like I feel like you are trying to focus on like how do I like stay present, stay relevant, stay engaged. I've never even thought of you in this camp, but like you said, you've actually been shooting weddings for like over 20 years, which is
Hmm.
crazy. What do you feel like are things you're doing to like challenge yourself to like stay relevant and stay up with everything?
I think because it's such a concern of mine and because I never want to be a photographer that doesn't know how to serve their
Mhm.
demographic, what I do, I mean, I follow people online and every wedding I'm going to try something that is what I've seen as trending. And there's a lot of really great sources for that. What is this one guy? Lionel's Lens? Is that his name?
Mm.
There's this one guy that all he does is post like wedding trends.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I can follow this and do
Oh,
this.
maybe
And
you're talking about Linzel World?
yes, that one.
Yes,
That's
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. Really, really good Instagram content. And I just make it a point to follow it. And then, even if I maybe disagree with the photography technique, I tend to think like, well, why is this popular? Why is direct flash slightly overexposed and blurry in? Well, it usually has to go back to nostalgia. It always goes back to nostalgia. Like that type of photo is like what their childhood photos look like back when all we used
Mm,
was disposable cameras with our family.
yeah. And what do you feel like it draws you more to maybe the style that you're more comfortable in, maybe a little more fine art? I would classify that, if that might be a good adjective. Um, what do you feel like draws, since you said most likely today, maybe off nostalgia, do you think maybe you're drawn more into that as well, not just from how you started, but maybe because things that you were seeing when you were starting maybe were like really high quality medium format that had really, I mean,
Yeah.
I could be wrong by that, but I'm like trying to think back. Like most likely there probably was that really good kind of bokeh and really good more fine art imagery back then.
Honestly, with weddings, it wasn't as fine art. It was very
Really?
standard. I think that's why wedding photographers have always been looked down on by other photographers because it's like, oh, ugh, it's wedding photography. That's not art.
Mm,
That's just consumerism. I would agree. I think a lot of it is, but I don't know. I think the looks now, like direct flash, in a lot of ways is nostalgic for me because,
mm,
yes, some of my childhood photos were like that too. But when I started learning photography, I would direct flash because I didn't know how to bounce flash or use off camera flash. So in a lot of ways, it's nostalgic for me at the beginning of my career. Plus it's way easier to direct flash and set up some off
yeah.
camera lights. So like I'm all for it.
Do you still set up lights at weddings now that this is popular? Like, are you doing all of it?
There were a couple of years when I was really learning and big on off camera flash where I would set up lights like in the reception room. But more often than not, there's either a video guy or intelligent lights. And I just use that as my like
Mhm.
secondary light source. So if I can at all help it, I'll still bring a light stand and off camera flash. But if I can help it, I'm not setting it up. Like,
Yeah.
why? It's more
Espe
work and it's a liability. Drunk people trip over that.
Oh, honestly, I've never even thought of that, but that
Hmm.
really, yeah. And if someone did trip, then it really, you never know what's gonna happen. That's why we have contracts.
That is exactly why. I can't tell you how many times I've updated my contracts over the have you done that? Like, something horrible happens, you're like, "Oh, putting that in my contract."
I probably should reevaluate ours right now, but we actually at the last wedding we shot had, um, there was during family photos walking up a staircase, like 4
Uh-huh.
stairs of like this, trying to paint the picture, kinda like cathedral looking room, but it's a venue, not a cathedral. Anyways, 4 stairs up to the stage. All family photos were on the stage. All the photos were on the stage. There wasn't really anywhere else to take photos. So anyways, there was like, like back entrances, like you would think like altar pew, to the
Mhm.
stage, but most people just took these 4 that were like dead center.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was like 4 people helping the grandma up. And
Oh
like
gosh.
in live action, she somehow starts falling, and then, of course, grandpa starts falling, and, like, they all fall, like they were on the 4th stair, so probably at least 4 or 5 feet up, you
They
know?
actually fell, like,
They
to the
actually
ground.
fell and hit the ground really hard, and,
Oh,
yeah, the
yeah.
venue staff ended up finding my husband to, like, help sign, like, a report of what happened, and I was like, "Jake, you're not signing that. We don't live here. If something happened, I'm not wanting to be liable for court
No.
or" and I'm like, we don't owe it to them to sign this thing. It's not our fault that someone fell, and, I think that, yeah, they just wanted, but they were on it. Like, the venue, they came out with their clipboards, and, like, they were, and I was like, "Guys, this is a wedding, like, chill for,
Here
like, an
comes
hour, you
legal.
know? Here comes the legal side." So it was crazy. I don't think I've ever actually had something where, like, someone came out with legal, like, documents like that fast,
I
but
don't
they were definitely ready to protect themselves.
I bet. I don't think I've had that. I had my phone stolen at a wedding once
Oh,
by the
wow.
staff. Like, I left it there, and I know exactly who took it, but police came, and, like, they were not allowed to even search her locker, which I was ridiculous, but
That's crazy.
that
I'm
was a fun
surprised that
one.
we haven't had, like, gear stolen,
I thank
honestly.
God I haven't either. I have an assistant always, and it's their job to be, like, by the gear for the most part.
I've never even thought about, like, I leave gear, green room that doesn't lock,
Mhm.
just kinda everywhere, that anywhere that it can go. A lot of venues don't even have anywhere for me to really put it, so, it could just be in,
And
like,
then
the
they get
men's
mad
getting
that
ready
you're
room.
they get mad that you're putting it somewhere the guests can see. It's like, "Well, if you
It's like
gave me a spot to put stuff."
no, literally. It was nice that the last wedding had a green room, but it was also, like, down a flight of stairs and with a door that didn't lock, and, yeah,
Oh,
people
yeah,
were going
no.
in and out, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's not, like, the best," you know? Um Man, I kinda like the idea of the trends. So, direct flash, tilted photos. How do you feel about the tilted photos? We mentioned
Uh,
it, but do you like
Again, it's
them?
nostalgic for me. I had to, like, train myself out of it when it came out of style because I like it. It follows, like, the Fibonacci spiral, right? Like, when you do a tilt like that, it's kinda easy to put there. And then film. Film is another
Mm.
one. I learned on film, so I'm all about film. I
Are
love
you still
doing it.
shooting film at weddings? Do you pull it back out nowadays?
I pull it back out, but I only do it for fun. I won't
Mhm.
guarantee it. I won't charge for it because if the day is running crazy, I'm going to shoot digital, and I'm because that's
Yeah.
way faster. So I'm just going to do that. But I never wanted to charge more for it because it was something that I loved, and that's why I fell in love with photography was because of film. I felt like it would kill my
Mm.
love of film if I started charging for it. So just I use it when I feel like using it.
That makes a ton of sense. In our weddings, it is me with, like, 5 cameras and, like, 1
Yeah.
digital, like, 4 film cameras, and, I've actually been contemplating my lens. I have the 28-70, which is a great lens, but it's so
Mm.
heavy.
Yes, it is.
Um, Wonderful lens, but I just don't I'm like, once it definitely hits reception, I feel like I need to trade to something, anything, literally anything that's, like, smaller and
Honestly,
lightweight.
the what just came out? The new I think it's a 24 to 70 f2, but it's not the L glass.
Mm.
It's less expensive and it's super light and it's gorgeous.
Oh, I might need to try this because I've been talking to a lot of people about it. I know some people that have, like, sold their 28 to 70s because they're just like, "It's just too big." And I honestly yeah, because if I ever wanted to shoot even just, trigger with my flash, I I
It's
literally
hard.
can't. I have wrist issues, like, can't do it. I probably need, like, carpal tunnel surgery to be able to do it, especially with the 28 to 70. Maybe a smaller lens I'd get away with.
Yeah, I can do that better vertically because I feel like it's hanging this way. That's way
Mm.
better than this where it's, like, dragging. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
one-handed's not fun.
Our first wedding back postpartum I'm totally deterring our conversation, but our first wedding back postpartum, that lens, man, I hadn't, shot on a camera in, like, 4 months, and
Mm.
I was like, "Man, this is a workout. I need to just lift this camera, just at the house, just lift it." But, yeah, tilted photos, I actually that's one where even I actually struggle with that one. It's not that I don't like them, it's that I'm just not good at making my photo, like, like, tilted, like, I think when they're done really well, it looks really good. When it's not done
Mhm.
well, I think it just looks like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
When it's done well, I think it looks really awesome, but for some reason, I think it's the perfectionism in my brain. I can't get myself to fully just get myself to tilt the camera. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make
No, it
sense?
does. A wedding photographer I know with a mirrorless camera,
Hmm.
on his mirror, because that's what you would, like, look through and actually see. On his mirror, he drew the Fibonacci spiral.
Whoa.
So, like, he could, like, frame up a tilted picture or any picture, whatever, like, to that exactly, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of genius, actually."
Yeah, because you can't just tilt it, like, it has to actually
No.
be right, and I think sometimes you see them literally just crooked and, like, then it's just a crooked photo, or
Yes.
I think, like, a really crooked horizon, but it's, like, not crooked enough, and then it just
Right.
bothers me.
Then, like, your AI editing is just gonna straighten it for you if you
Yes.
throw it through
I mean, the
there.
AI editing might still straighten
I
a
wonder if it
I
would straight if
wonder.
there was a line, right? If there was a distinct I
Yeah.
wonder if it would. What do you use?
We'll have to test this. I use narrative. What do you use? Imagine?
Imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many great ones out there, you just kinda have to figure out what one you like the best.
I have used
We should test
Imagine,
that.
but I use Narrative, and I haven't tested the other ones more recently at all, but, we used Narrative for culling for literally years, like,
Yeah.
I think I've been using it for 4.5 years or something, so I don't even think the other ones were out when they launched their culling,
I don't think so. They're
so yeah,
pretty
workflow-wise, it
early
works
on.
the best for us because culling straight to Lightroom, I don't have to, like, go into a different software and then edit,
Yep. Yeah, I
but
use Photo Mechanic still, which is definitely an old school
yes.
program, but I have to look at every single photo. So, like, and I
Mhm.
like narrative select actually, but for me, it's an obsession. So either I'm going to look at every single photo like up close and do it myself, or I'm going to just send it out for editing, which is definitely my preferred method.
Jake actually does all of our culling, if I'm being honest. That's one of his
Yeah.
roles in the business. He does all the culling, and, he learned on narrative because I taught
Okay.
him and, it was out by the time he joined the business, and so I think he still goes through, like, every image, but it just makes it so much faster, pulling up the, like, close-up panel and, like, having the faces and it telling you like if the eyes are closed or not. But he was like, I can't not look at every single one. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel that. But you can still go through all of them and it'll just help you go faster,
Yeah, I was gonna say, it'll help you look at everyone faster.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me that always drives me crazy is, like, the family photos, right? You have all these
Mhm.
different setups, it's the same photo, and I'm just looking for closed eyeballs. Like, that's
Yes.
what I'm looking for, or
Yes.
weird faces. I have to ask you, so how long have you and your husband been working together?
Together full time for probably closer to 3 years.
Okay. Have you ever had
But
a massive fight on a wedding?
oh gosh. I feel like not really, at weddings. I feel like on the way to weddings, I can get really stressed, like, trying to get gear and trying to get there, and then we're running late, and definitely on the way to weddings, probably we have not had our best moments maybe on the way to weddings, but I feel like once you're there, it's like you just gotta, like, just pretend that the car ride
Yeah.
was beautiful and you're in love and hit the ground. Um,
Yeah, just
so
go.
yeah, just make it happen. But more recently, it's actually been a lot better. I don't know, before pregnancy and before birth, I did struggle a lot with, like, mental health and stuff. I, uh, wanted to be an elopement photographer because it was, like, crowds, loud noises, like, people,
Mm.
lights, like, overstimulation kinda stuff. That really got to me, used to cause panic attacks and stuff, and I feel like I got over a lot of that. We started doing, honestly, like, large weddings, like, 3-day, big weddings, 300 person. So it's
Oh,
crazy how,
interesting.
like, my career evolved, and then pregnancy cured me, which was weird, don't know why. Still doing okay, so that's good. I was worried,
Well, it
like
does stuff to your hormones. I had the
yes.
opposite experience. I was sane until I got pregnant.
Oh my gosh, no, it literally fixed so much, and so, yeah, I now with Jake in the business, we have not had issues like that yet, but I do feel like I just used to get really overwhelmed, like, packing up for weddings is crazy, you know?
It is. Yeah. My husband, I had one big fight, and I'm gonna try to show you this photo because so my husband does video.
Mm,
So we would work a lot of weddings together where it was like, I'm the photo girl and he's a video guy.
yeah.
And it was okay until we actually got married, which was around the time he went from like video cam, like camcorder, to DSLR. And
Wow.
he didn't quite like know, nobody did like really know exactly how we should be using these. So I have this photo. This is of the ceremony. Hold on. There we go. And you can see that's two videographers right behind the bride and groom in the shot of like, I can't edit that. There was no generative AI. The biggest fight, like, and never in front of the couple,
Oh, yeah.
never in actual public, but they had a green room and like lots of yelling.
No.
You're in my shot. How do you think that's a perfectly good place to stay? Well, I have to. This is a new way to film.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I actually had a videographer do that and didn't warn me, and I got onto him, and it was like, I didn't know this person, but I'm like, we talked about the ceremony before the wedding started, and then all of a sudden she's walking down the aisle and he is like right, like
Walking
behind.
backwards with her or
No,
behind? Oh,
like near the groom, but like the
okay.
way he was standing, it's like even with AI, don't know if I'm gonna be able to edit you out. Like there's florals that are very specific, and like there was no chance of editing him out. And I feel like we walked through, oh, I'm gonna be here at this moment and you're gonna be over there. Like we kind of walked through, okay, yeah, this is how we're gonna shoot. And then all of a sudden he's just like
He goes
basically
rogue.
like hip and hip with the groom, and I'm like, "Why are you standing there? Like, what is happening?" I can't get the groom because I will see you,
You are
and
not
even
the
with
best
her
man.
walking down the aisle, like, you're right behind everything,
Oh my gosh.
Um, yeah, it was not the best, and I'm sure I've been in people's way, but I feel like you don't stand, like, next to the officiant or, like, next to the groom, like, that's just, like, too too close. Can't really edit that out. And
Nope.
at dinner, he, like, apologized, which was nice. I wasn't mean. I was just like, "Hey, you should tell anyone, including me, if you're gonna do that," you know? Um, yeah, yeah, especially shooting film. We shoot, like,
Mhm.
probably at least 12 to 20 rolls a wedding. So, I'm not taking that stuff. I mean, I'm sure I could. I could take it into Photoshop maybe, but I feel like that would be weird. So
Yeah.
I'm not really
Kills the
taking.
authenticity of
Yeah.
film.
I think something we should hit on is maybe difference in gear. I don't know if you and
Ooh.
I shoot on very different gear, but I do feel like maybe even older than that probably does, or maybe they go to that like 135 maybe or something that I have never even owned, you know? I mean, maybe you
Mm,
love a 135. I got
I
asked at
do.
WPPI like, why don't I own a 135? And I was like, you know, I never desired a focal length that
That
close.
long.
Yeah, that
You know,
long.
I mean, for me back in the day, the old school thing that we still make fun of is like a flash bracket.
I don't
You've
know if
seen
I even know
those.
what that is.
So it's you didn't want, because having that, direct flash with a vertical shadow on the wall was like a no-no, right?
Mm.
So in order to not have that, you would have this flash bracket attached to the bottom of your camera, like tripod mount, and that's like an L bracket that goes up, or I guess a U bracket, and then the flash just stayed on top. And you could turn your camera sideways. You would like
Mm.
hold it. You turn your camera sideways, but the flash would still stay at the
Mm.
top instead of going to the side. And that was always like an old school thing, flash bracket. I don't know what I don't know. Is the 135 focal length like old school? I mean, when
I
I
think it could
photograph in a
be.
lot of Catholic churches, and if I don't have a long focal length with like a fast, 1.8, like I'm not getting half the shots they want.
I feel like it could be in the sense that I don't know if I know anyone in my age demographic. Well, I know some people, but I don't know if I know a ton of people that have used or owned one. I used one when I was like 18 in like uh church world, like concerty like production, which I guess makes
Hmm.
sense. Like I could have used it in photography, wedding photography as well. But honestly, when I first started wedding photography, all I really had was like a 35, and I was like, let's go,
So
just me and my
that's the
35.
thing. That's the thing, actually. 35 focal length, I know, is like super popular versus when I don't know, probably I guess 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the 50 millimeter was like the thing. So now it's
Yes.
more like 35. And I could see why the 135 is not, because, that's going to give you that creamy background that like
Mhm.
not a lot of people are into anymore. I don't know. I think you have to tell me, because I don't know what I don't know. Like, what is something that you see a photographer post and you're like, ew.
Oh, I feel like one thing I see in film that maybe it's not new. I mean, I don't think it is new, but one thing I see more in like the film photo space is like the Holga making a resurgence. Or
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's been like I feel like it's been resurging for like 2 years already now, but when it first started, I was kind of like, I love a good toy film camera. And I use it, don't get me wrong, because it is that popular, so I feel like clients kind of expect that kind of image, but it is just low key like a bad camera. Like, if we're being
Yeah,
honest, it is. And
it
I
is.
tell people, I'm like, it's like shitty on purpose, like it's the vibe, I guess. But for it to become so popular in like high-end luxury space, it really
Yeah,
surprised me. And I think last week you saw Jose Villa, his team
yeah.
using, I don't know if it was him or his team, but one of them shot on a Holga. And I was like, you've seen it in the luxury space, but you didn't quite see it in like him
The
yet,
upper luxury space, yeah.
Yes, yes. And you saw it in like the trendy luxury space, like the mid luxury.
Right.
But yeah, he did it. And I know a lot of people like shared that because it was like, whoa, that's crazy. And it was like, not the perfect images, not the fine art. And that's kind of wild that even in that space, something so, I mean, it's a $35 camera, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But you have to know
crazy.
how to use it to get like a halfway decent image
That
out of
is
it.
true. Yeah. Honestly, well, even when you know how to use it, some of the photos are just bad.
Yeah.
Some of the photos are
Still
bad.
total crap.
Do you own
You know
one?
that I don't. I had the last camera that actually a friend of mine gave me is this one. It's the Canon 28.
Hmm.
And it's a really fun one because it's like I don't have a choice. Like I think it's always at a 60th of a second shutter
Hmm.
speed. Like, and that's just it. So I can change my aperture and obviously the film that goes in it. But this one's like toy camera
Yeah.
esque. Yeah. I don't, all the film cameras I have are actually my film cameras from 25 years ago, which
Wow.
were my mother's film cameras that she gave to me.
I have one of my mom's. I have her like Pentax K1000, and I
Yep.
haven't really used it. I should use it just for the sake of like using it. It has like a Mickey Mouse, like Disneyland, like camera strap.
That's amazing.
But my mom actually, the funny part is, she didn't introduce me to photography at all, but she did photography, not like professionally, but in high school, she like did their yearbook photos and all the things. And to the point that they had a dark room like in their bathroom, and I'm like, wow, that's really
That's cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you never like she never tried to get like never mentioned really photo at all. I mean, we took a lot of photos and had a lot of scrapbooks of albums of pictures, but just pure hobbyists, just like for fun as a family.
Yeah. But
But
that's
yeah.
so cool. I mean, what kind of I think that was something I did on purpose. Like all of my when film cameras like came back in, I was kind of like, you know what? I have a film camera collection, but it's a legacy collection. They're either my grandmother's or mine. And I have the most ridiculous cameras. I have this Polaroid 150. Hold on. It's really fun.
Oh yes, show it to us. I know I was looking for my fisheye because I'm like, oh, this would be fun to show you guys.
This
Oh,
baby.
that's great.
I have no idea if it even works. But this was my grandma's. So I've still to this day never bought a film camera. That's always been like legacy or given to me. This one though, I actually should do this. Have you ever heard of the Norton camera?
Oh man, I can't see it right now. One sec.
There's nothing to see. It's a weird box.
And what is it called?
The Norton camera. So
Does it
this
work?
I haven't tried it. I have no idea. It's like the tiniest little thing. It feels like a toy, but it was, I believe, for war photographers so that it was like really light and like just captured whatever. I have to learn how to use it, but that one was given to me too. So maybe I'll just make that popular.
Yeah,
The
we're gonna
Holga
have to
will
have like a
give the
go to
Holga a
Vanessa's
run for its
house
money.
and try all of her random
I have so many
cameras.
more. Because my grandmother was into photography. She was a publicist.
That's so fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do buy film cameras. It's bad. I'm like, well, I guess I don't. I popped by Richard's booth at WPPI, and Richard's is a film lab for anyone listening, based out of like Santa Clarita, so near LA. And they had a booth at WPPI, the conference that me and Vanessa were just at. And I popped by and we were talking, and he has graciously offered to let me try some of his cameras before I buy things because I keep buying things that I don't love.
Mm.
And but then he was like, "Oh, do you wanna borrow this one?" I was like, "That's not my price range." And, he was like, "How much is your digital camera?" And I was like, "Oh, my digital setup
Aw.
is a lot." And he was like, "See? So it is." And I was like, "Oh." And it is true, I shoot film at every single wedding, so, it wouldn't be weird if I had, a five to $10,000 film setup.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my 35 I did spend over 2 grand on, which for a lot of people, they're like, "Film, well," you know? But man,
Yeah,
yeah, I
like,
want a
why
better
would you
medium
do that?
format, and it's just so hard to choose.
Yeah, the medium format too, they're always gonna be more expensive, plus the lenses and everything too, and sometimes it's just really hard to find, like, a good, like, halfway clean lens, although the dirt, I guess, is the grime is part of it, but still.
Yeah, and I feel like these days with it being becoming more popular, certain cameras obviously are starting to, like, cost more and be harder to find,
Mhm.
and so I think sometimes it's just, like, it being harder to get and, as it gets older, the parts being harder to manufacture. Well, they're not being manufactured, most of them. I know that Leica is, like, back again, but, yeah. Anyways, let's think digital things that I feel like are new. I do feel like the world of shooting with only 35 is probably coming back in some ways, which is interesting. I started that way. I literally only had a 35 for like the first year of weddings,
Oh, wow.
which, it worked out. We did fine.
Yeah.
The 35 will always be in, though, I feel like, in certain ways. Yeah, people want that they want that kind of messy look, I feel. Oh my gosh. Okay, something that's coming in that even I haven't really done, which maybe you have, but kind of like late night detail shots, like kind of
Yes.
messy.
Yep.
Like, and I think I think I've done it once with like the rings and like a fruit because there was fruit in the tablescape and I feel like it made sense. But I just don't know if I'm digging like beer can with like a half-eaten piece of cake. I think for me, I'm just like, I think it might be too messy. I don't know, you know?
Yeah. I've done it, but I do make it a little on the less messy side. Like I'll usually put the bride's shoes because she usually takes them off anyway, right? And then cake, and I think one of the ones I had like the bride had a newspaper, so I put it all on top of the
See, that's fun.
newspaper. Yeah, and I never take the rings back from them though. That like I'm not going to stick their their rings and cake.
And like a half-eaten cupcake.
Yeah, no, I don't need them like sending me a bill for cleaning their jewelry later
Honestly,
because that
I
gets
heard
in
a wedding
there.
planner like rant about this trend once, and she was like, someone's like really expensive rings, you're trying to like put it in like a piece of cake with icing, and I was like, yeah, that is kind of strange when you think about it.
Yep.
Things that happen naturally, I think, are cool. You know, the shoes. I don't know. I think I just
Shoes, cake, drink.
compiling it all. You know.
It's fun to like have their signature drink in an
Hmm.
intentional shot, I
Oh
think.
yeah. I think that's different than the real grimy ones, though.
Yeah, no. The real grimy ones throw me, but also I think my clients won't love them
That is
being
true.
in like
That's
the
probably why I
more
feel that way
luxury
too.
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a fine line. Fine line between it being like cool and rough around the edges and it like actually being a mess.
Trying to think about other things that I feel like newer. I mean, something I would love to see taken off because I posted a video about it. I just bought this fisheye, which you probably have used because you've been in the industry for a while. And when I posted about it, people were like, "I had that in 2009,"
Oh,
and I'm like, "Oh wow, I
yeah.
was 9 years old." Not really. I
Yep.
think I was 10. But the lomography fisheye. Have
Oh,
you ever
yeah.
used it?
I've
The
never
like
used it.
film
I mean, I
one.
know it, but never used it.
I didn't know
That's
that
a
it was
fun
that
one.
popular in like 2009. I had no idea.
Yeah, little resurgence. I mean,
The
stuff like that is so
resurgence.
fun because, like, I mean, even with the Holga too, like you have to know how to take a halfway decent photo, but at the same time, like you can't mess it up because it's supposed to be messed up. Like it's supposed to look
Yes,
funky.
exactly.
So there's some like creative freedom in that, I think. A little bit less
Oh,
stress.
I feel like things that maybe older photographers do that younger just really aren't doing these days would be like retouching, which I could be wrong in generalizing a demographic of people. Obviously, there's younger people that are retouching. I feel like the younger generation is less likely to do it.
I love hearing
Um,
that, actually.
you do or
Because
don't?
I only retouch upon request, and if they want something retouched in like their album, I do it complimentary, but they have to ask because I'm never going to just go retouch someone. I also, yeah, like I don't retouch out things like I don't know exit signs.
Hmm.
I also try not to get them in the shot, but um, yeah, I don't. I've never loved retouching. It's always upon client request.
Yeah, I feel like it probably was really popular and probably is still pretty popular with certain demographics, especially older. But yeah, I don't feel the need to do it. I mean, I might like, obviously I'm going to take people's acne out and, make sure they look good for things that maybe wouldn't be there, on an everyday basis, but I'm not going to like Facetune them, you know?
Oh yeah. I think I retouch more on actually my older clients. Yeah. I'm
Mm,
trying to like think of all the people who request it because I would say probably 99% of my clients never ask for retouching. It's either the older clients or oh, I know one. I had a girl that we did their engagement session and she had bought a dress and shipped it to her mom's house and then never took it out of the package and it was satin and it was so wrinkled.
oh no.
It was so bad, but I use Evoto
That's what I was about
and
to ask.
it took it right out. I'm
No
like, thank
way.
sweet baby Jesus, because that would have been a horrible like hand retouching.
Can I ask the particulars of this? Like, did you charge a service fee to do something like that, or are you just fast enough?
No.
I mean, Evoto, I haven't
Evoto is
actually
so
used, but I
fast.
saw the demo of it at WPBI, and I was like, okay, there was an email in my inbox from them like a year ago, and I
Yeah.
just avoided it because I was like, I don't have time to learn something new. That was what was
There's
my
nothing to learn.
opinion,
There's
and
literally nothing to learn.
that's what I realized when he
Yeah.
showed it to me. I was like, whoa, this is literally like if someone put almost like a Facetune on, but like for professional photographers, you could just like
Yep.
click and like bam, done. And
Yeah.
the no load speed was kind of
Yeah.
crazy. I feel
Well,
like we
and
should
then just
explain what this is
bulk
for people
it's bulk
listening.
retouching and you could have like presets. So like I have one if somebody asks to oh just just brush over or like clean
Yeah.
up a little bit lightly. I have a thing for that. And it basically, it like smooth skin ever so slightly, gets a little bit of like if there's dark circles, but it's age appropriate. The flyaway hairs are the big thing that a lot of my clients rightfully like don't like if they've got hair. But the one I like the most is they have AI body shaping. And if you only like turn it on like +6, something very small. All it does is it like makes it look like their clothes fit them better.
Hmm.
And that I liked, along with, ironing everybody.
Yeah, no, that's
Face and
crazy.
clothes.
Because honestly, I don't think I could get extreme wrinkles out in Photoshop. I could try. It'd take me way too long.
It
That
took
would
you
be
way
a
too
lost
long.
cause.
Yeah, and this with Evoto, it's like you do it to one photo and then you paste it to the rest and then you just export it. So I include it complimentary in any photo they put in their album. That's actually a big thing. Oh, that's a big
Yeah,
difference.
tell me about this. I'm like album, like online album or like physical album?
Physical album. Let's see, I have one here.
Yes. I feel like this is
So
also probably, it's not that a younger generation doesn't print things, but but the older generation does focus more on albums and
yeah.
album sales and all of that.
hmm I think it's, like, for me, I think it's like unethical to
Mm.
know that if you only hand them air, that's why I call digital files, they're just air. You only hand them air after a wedding, however many thousands of dollars you charge them, knowing full well, because you know in your head that when you hand them digital files, what are they going to do with them? They're going to put them on a hard drive that will be obsolete and collect dust. They will put them on their phone and get lost in their camera roll, never to be seen again. And they'll put them on social media, which will get lost down the feed, never to be seen again.
Hmm.
So if I hand them air, I know I am handing them something that will be garbage very soon.
Hmm.
If I hand them an album, I know that that will be a legacy and that will be passed down through generations. And that, I think, is the best way to give them photos that will actually last. Hopefully, as long as the marriage and more.
So true.
the marriage won't last sometimes, but
Then it
yeah.
won't be a legacy. Maybe for you.
Then you could, burn it. It'll be ceremonial.
Yes, you can have a second ceremony.
Yeah.
Do you include it in all of your packages or do you sell them on it?
No, I insist on it. I will not take a wedding unless they print it.
Wow.
It's 100% mandatory. Because it's like I'm like convicted by it. Like I can't allow you to just receive air from me because I know I'm handing you something that will be uncherished very soon. So that I insist it. And then so what I do is I just include like a base album. And if they really like didn't want an album and they didn't believe me, then they're just gonna redeem that base album like 20 pages, 30 pages.
Yeah.
But more often than not, they realize it and they end up printing. And now my average album size is like 150 pages, and I do like album suites, so like multiple albums. And we do it in a way where it's like it's not your mom's wedding album. It looks, and there's so many album options out there, but I do it in a way where it looks like interior design books. Right? So it's not like this eyesore. It's not something like if you saw these books, you're like, yeah, I'd buy them to sit on my coffee table.
Yeah.
So I think that's how they should look. I mean, some people still get like
you need like an example
ones.
of one. You need to show us.
Oh, well, I mean, this one is pretty good one. So it's like custom.
Cute.
And it's just, not much to it. Like as far as covers go.
That one's big.
That's like 8 by 12.
No, I mean like thick.
Oh yeah, so that's 100 pages.
Wow.
Because she did not want to split her books, so she did 100 pages. And actually,
just
this
all
is
in one
engagement album.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many photos are you delivering on an engagement to print a book
not
that
session.
big?
Engagement.
Oh,
party.
okay. That makes more sense.
Yes. So, it's nice because then like she could do, her wedding album to match or whatever and have it be a stack of books.
Do you do it do you do it for sessions too? Like engagement sessions, or do you do do you do things that aren't weddings? I know you said corporate.
Yeah,
but I'm sure
I do corporate.
Doing albums for corporate.
No.
That would be weird.
That's weird. No, I'm trying to think. I mean, maternity, I got to do that. Actually, tomorrow I have a maternity session that we're going to print.
Fun.
Yeah. And then like baby, like newborn-ish stuff. Not that I do a lot of that because quite frankly, I just don't like to. So I'll only do it for like people I like past clients who are like, oh, I see you're pregnant. I actually like you. I'll offer to do your photos.
Yes. I feel that. That's exactly how I am.
Yep.
Well, I think I would enjoy maternity. I don't think I'd do a newborn. Love my baby. Don't love babies. Like, love my baby, but I'm not a baby person. I don't know. We don't even really have newborn photos of ours because she just cried the whole time. Like there was no hope of taking pictures. And maybe maybe someone else's baby sleeps more, but I feel like we had a very active baby, so the whole newborn photo thing, we didn't really get any of those. But I don't know, like the iPhone photos are plenty. I didn't need a professional shoot of her just as a potato, you know? They're just
We have
potatoes.
Yeah, we have our potato photos. I like that. I'm gonna use that from now on. We have our potato photos of our kids, but I printed them. They're like
That's
even my
fun.
iPhone photos. I do like little Snapchat books or whatever,
Cute.
chat books. That's what they're called, and as long as it's printed. Because again, my kids aren't going to inherit my phone. And then where are their
Yeah.
baby pictures? Where are the pictures when they're young? They're going to inherit the books.
I need to print some of our own wedding photos. I feel like life moved very fast and from wedding
Oh,
to like kind of accidentally getting pregnant like 3 months later,
hmm
and moving
that's
to
another
LA.
reason why, like when you hand your clients digital file, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll print my own wedding photos." No,
Yeah,
you
and
won't.
then you get so busy. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I also said I'd edit my own wedding photos, and, I've edited like
yeah,
10 of them. So I hired my own team to shoot my digitals for my wedding because I wanted to edit them. Then I got so busy, I've only edited like 20 of them.
yeah.
I've edited
That's what
enough to post
happens.
online, and the rest are just on a hard drive, and who knows which hard drive. I should figure that out. But,
I love
I
that you're proving my point.
I know, I'm literally reinforcing this. And then, yeah, even so we had a film photographer, so we did hire, like, a film photographer, but digitals was in-house. The film photographer, I did upload. He sent it over in, like, a Dropbox, and I was like, "This isn't family friendly for my family." It just didn't it was too
Yeah.
hard for me to navigate, which means, my parents probably would struggle. So I uploaded it to PicTime, and then I sent it to them as like, "Oh, we could print in here," and I don't think any of
And
them
then you
even know where
didn't.
the link is anymore.
Yeah. For the
So
record, I still haven't printed my own wedding album.
see, we both need
15
to do
years
this. We both need
15
to do
years
this.
later,
Next
I'll
time we
make sure
catch
my
up
clients get it. Yeah.
next time we catch up, we'll both have to have a wedding album of some sort printed
Yeah. I
for
designed it.
ourselves.
It's designed. I just didn't order it. I did that
Oh,
this year though.
you should do that.
On my list, on my to-do list. I mean, you know how you serve your clients before you serve yourself.
Yes, yes. Even photos of, like, myself, I feel like I do good at no, I take that back. I was about to say I feel like I do good at taking photos myself. I feel like we have a good bit of photos, but when it comes to the kind of photos that we give our clients, I don't feel like I necessarily get stuff like that often unless we're asked, pre-baby to like model for someone or something, and I would do
Yeah.
that, but the intention that goes behind the shoots that I'm doing that you're doing probably I'm not necessarily booking myself, but I don't think that's
Mhm.
wrong. I think when you're this close to it, it feels different. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's that expression, the cobbler's kids have no shoes. It's
That's good.
just
I need
how
to
it
write that
is.
down.
Yep.
Oh, man. Well, if you think of anything else that you feel like it's different, I would love to know, but I literally can't think of anything else. And the weird part
I
is I
don't
feel like
think
there
so.
probably is so much else.
But if
Like,
I post something stupid, just, like,
I'll
DM me,
just tell
like,
you.
"Vanessa, this sucks,"
I
just so
mean,
you
I
know.
guess I feel like the new generation's doing a lot of like prompting, and I feel like maybe back in the day it was a lot more posing.
That's true. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
definitely more posing because there was this literal, like, school of photography. Actually, this guy named Monty Zucker, and he basically coined all the correct things, like, "You are to turn this way, and then, like, this
Hmm.
hand goes here and ever so slightly, and, like, don't let the groom's hand show behind the waist of the partner," and it there were so many rules. I remember all the rules, and it leads to prom photos. It leads to, like, your high school prom
Yes.
photos. It does not lead to photos that you look at and you remember how you felt. You just
Mm.
remember, "Oh, that's my posed wedding photo."
I
Yeah.
I still love a good pose too, though. I think I'm not like full documentary, not full prompt. Because I
Mhm.
think sometimes I feel funny if I'm like, "Oh, just, like, run and, the frolic." Like, I'm not a good, like I'm not a full prompter, like, I'll be honest, but, I know a lot of people that I am friends with are. Like, it's more of like, "Oh, do this, and while you're doing this, do this, and then do that, and then I'm gonna
Yeah.
shoot all of that." And I think that actually really works for digital. I think that's a lot harder for
That's
film,
a
and so I
lot
think
harder for
that's why I
film.
need to pose a little more is I don't want you running too much. Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
can
I'm not
sometimes,
trying to manually
but
focus
not
that.
all the time. But yeah.
You know, my rule is I'm always gonna get I call it the quick 6. There's 6 photos, like must-have photos that you have to get of a
Mm,
couple. It's a full length, of them looking at the camera, looking at each other and kissing, and then like a head and shoulders looking at the camera, looking at each other, kissing. But with that 28 to 70, I literally get that done in like 10 seconds or less.
Yes.
And then from then on, I'll put them in a pose and I'll maybe take that photo of the pose, but then I'll add movement to every
Yeah.
pose. So that way they get the best of both worlds. And I read my client. I change a little bit depending on my client. If I know that client is self-conscious, and if I'm not specifically like making a fuss over her hair being perfect, or like
Mhm.
she wants to know what to do with her hands, then I'm going to direct more heavily.
Yeah. I feel like too, I have clients who want to be like posed and a little more serious. Maybe
Yep.
it's what I post, probably what I post. Maybe it's part of who I am. I think a lot of who we are is like who we attract.
Yes.
But I do get a lot who wouldn't want to like be cutesy and like frolic and, be, spinning around. Like that's just like not my typical client, but it is a
Yeah.
lot of people's clients, and I think back that it's probably like me. Like I can't imagine someone being like, Summer and Jake just like run and twirl around. I'd be like, what? Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing that. Um,
I think
yeah.
mine are a little not silly. Like I usually don't get like the corny silly, but I definitely get, this is going to sound like pretentious. I always say I like my clients are the happy rich people, not the stuck up rich
I love
people
that for
because
you.
so that's I like the ones that would rather be smiling in photos and like
Mm.
laughing versus serious. And I love serious photos too, but I definitely vibe more with the ones that are out to have fun.
I don't feel like I get like the stuck up type of person, but definitely the like serious because it's different or edgy or I don't know, not their typical like couples lovey. My last engagement session I just did, I kind of towards the end when things are wrapping up, if I feel like there's extra time, I'm like, hey, do you have a photo where maybe you've dreamed of this photo forever, or it's just something you wish we had done that we haven't done yet? And I just
Yeah.
ask them that because some people, especially women, have photos that they've like had on a Pinterest board for like 10 years.
Yes.
And so if there is something like that that they feel like I missed, I would love to know and get it done.
Hmm.
But yeah, the last session the guy was like, what about like what is it, like American Gothic with the pitchfork?
Oh, yes.
He was like, something like that, like serious. And I was like, yeah,
Stoic.
man, stoic, like let's do it. And so we just referenced back to that throughout the next couple locations, and finally at like the last location I feel like I got the shot, and it was like them framed really perfectly with this like yellow tree behind them. Just he wasn't holding anything, I'm doing the
Nope, no pitchforks.
I asked him though, I was like, no, like you're not gonna hold anything, right? Like when you say this you just mean. And he was like, no, because we were at a bar, so I didn't know if he meant like he wanted to like hold his drink,
Hold the drink. Yeah.
but no, he just wanted like kind of serious. Like I think when sometimes people think like something that might get printed like that in black and white, it's very
Mm,
like classic, just something kind of stoic, kind of serious.
yeah.
I
It
think of like,
reminds you of like, when they took photos and they never smiled because it was a long exposure.
yeah,
That
yes,
kind of vibe.
yes, like your grandparents like
Yep.
photos or the church directory photos.
Yeah.
So
Church
funny,
directory. I have to
man.
say, I need to go see this Jose Villa Holga photo. I have to
I
find
let me
it.
try and I would love I'll just show the YouTube people. I would love to show people because I would feel bad if I'm butchering this, but I saw it and I saw people sharing it because they were like, "No way." Let's see. How often does
Yeah.
he post? Because I don't think he posts often.
He doesn't post that often.
Oh,
For the
maybe
record,
it
he
wasn't
can
him
do
that
no wrong.
posted it.
He can do no wrong in my eyes. Like he is amazing, and he's so nice.
Wait,
Like
this is
I don't
so
know him at all. He answers my emails.
well, it's so interesting because I saw this shared in Linzel World as well. So I saw it shared multiple places, and now I don't see it. How often?
I wonder if it was so controversial that he's like, "You're not allowed to show this anymore because it has tarnished my brand."
How many swipes did we have to swipe through his photos to find this? Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. No, I swear though. Let's see. For everyone just audio, I am sorry, but we're gonna find this.
We
Let's
have to
see.
see now. I'm looking in Lenzel World too, and I
Yeah.
love I love this guy's stuff.
Shout out Linzel Cam. Well, I
Yeah,
don't know if people are supposed
seriously.
to know his name. But okay, wait, look, photo transfer 2025. I feel like this is where the Jose Villa thing's gonna be. Let's see. Nope, don't see it. chaos and perfection. Maybe this is it.
Maybe in there. Oh, he does one on
Sandbank.
tilted photos, which is great.
Wedding photography this week. Maybe this. Okay, we need to. Oh, I think it's this video. Let's see. Man, maybe it wasn't Jose. I could have sworn it was, though. Well, everyone, we're going to have a second episode where we diagnose everything that Cam from Linzel says.
Yep.
I'm very impressed at how fast his social media has grown. And
I think
just,
it's great.
oh, it's
It's so helpful for
so
me.
insightful.
Yeah, because it's like I don't want it, and it's not even like a I'm old and I don't care thing. It's more like I just don't want to have to pay that much attention, I guess, to like a million other photographers and what's trending. And he just sums it up. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna follow you and let you be my news source so I can spend my time concentrating on business or one of the many other things that I did. I started a nonprofit last week out of like nowhere. So yeah.
What is your nonprofit?
I photographed in Kenya in December, so 3 months ago now, and I visited one of the villages there. And my whole life, I've always had like my parents had, or I had World Vision Kids. And one of the things that you get in like the holiday catalog is it talks about building this well, and it's like 15 grand. And I've always wanted to do that. Like that was always like, oh, I want to be financially free enough where I can just like drop 15 grand and go do that. So we go when we're in Kenya, Africa, we go to one of the villages, and I am seeing firsthand these children that are the same ages as my children. And I realized there is no clean water. There is no bathroom. They're literally barefoot in poop, like walking around. And the flies, it wasn't the fact that there was flies. It was the fact that the flies would touch their eyes and eyeballs and they wouldn't even blink. They were so desensitized to it. As a fly just flew by. Did you see that? That was like,
that was a sign.
That was a sign. Anyway, it was just like that motivation I needed to do something about it. So last week I launched a nonprofit that it's only running for a little bit because I only have so much time, but I am raising money to help like clean water initiatives because 1,000 kids under the age of 5 die every day resulting from lack of clean water problems. That's crazy.
I went with a nonprofit to Kenya when I was like 17.
Really?
And that's why I was curious. We actually, I don't know where, I would love to know where you visited, right? Where you spent
in the
your
Masai,
time?
The Masai Mara.
Okay, yes, we debriefed down there. But we actually spent, I don't know if I know, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can even remember the name now. But I think it's northern Kenya where it's all desert. That was where most of our time was spent with the Turkana tribe. And that was crazy because even in our time there, it was they have a river for like the whole tribe. Like you could think like walking for 12 hours to get water level.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we drove 3 hours into like, I guess you call it a bush, like just 3 hours into, you know, straight tribal land that is never, I think one of them, it was one of their first times having encounters with, you know, people like, you know, outsiders. And we saw the river go from like 8 feet to maybe like, you know, a trickle. And even that river was just brown, you know, just not necessarily
not
like good to drink. But yeah, the company I went with was putting in wells and like doing like patented like food distribution. So it was really awesome to be there and to help, but definitely crazy, you know, living in America, you just don't even know that things like that exist. When I tell people about my experience there and even just about like how different it is, you know, how they don't know what a building is or what grass is or you know the people in the desert and even those little things, it's like, oh my gosh, wow, yeah, there is a world so much. I think everyone thinks there's a world different than ours, but literally a world so much different than ours.
Right. Well, but everyone sees it, right? Because there's always a commercial supporting something or
it's
whatever.
Like they don't believe that it exists.
You just don't, you don't feel it. You see it, but you don't feel it till you're there. Yeah. So I got home and I'm like, I have to do something about this. So I have safaриwildlifeandlandscape.com and I'm selling all of my wildlife photos and 100% of the proceeds are going to there. I'm also taking donations and I'm personally matching the first $15,000.
That's amazing.
So,
wow.
Yeah, I don't know when this podcast episode comes out, but
it'll literally
if it's still there
in 4 days. So
yay.
For everyone listening, it should still be there. Yeah.
It will be there. Yep. SafariWildlifeAndLandscape.com. And you'll be able to see the video of, me being there, the pictures I took. And what's even more fun about this is I got Canon to donate a massive printer I can print 40 by 60 photos off of. It's in my
That's
garage.
so
It's taller than
cool.
me.
So are you printing them too?
I am personally printing, signing them, and because I'm working with Hiii paper, they're helping me create certificates of authenticity for every single one of them too.
Wow, this is
So
so fancy.
yeah, it's exciting because I mean, obviously, the more of that like free stuff I get, the more the proceeds will be because I
Oh,
don't have to
yeah.
pay for those things. I got Squarespace to give me the website for free. So far, the only cost that I have is like my time, which I'm obviously donating. So
That's so
yeah,
fun, though. I'll have
it's
to check it
exciting.
out. We'll link
Yeah,
that in the show notes and in the
yes.
description. If you're listening to this in live time, definitely go get one. And if not, I'm sure check back in with you. I mean, I'm sure maybe one day you'll reopen something like that. Who knows?
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe. I mean, it sounds like you have a good heart. You might do something like that again. So
We'll see. Maybe I'll
you
do a
never
round
know.
2. I don't
Maybe she'll
know.
start a whole massive nonprofit because of this. You never know.
I would do something like that. But my point
Yes.
is, Cam from Lensa World
Mm-hmm.
now enables me to do things like this because I can keep up with my career and have free time to do this.
I need to connect with him and send him this or something. But I actually I've been launching my subscription platform that just launched
Ooh,
like a little over a month ago. It's a educational just membership, so $39.99 a month, guest teachers, community, all inside the platform and
yeah.
stuff. When I
How's
was
it
looking at
going?
different platforms, I looked at his because he was one of the only people using Circle, and it's a
Oh,
newer like platform that people use. So for anyone listening to the pod, if you aren't in summer school, you download the Circle app and that's how you get engaged is inside of that program. But it is revolutionary. I love Circle. I like it a lot more than
fun.
Kajabi and some of the other ones that people were using. So yeah, I
That's
need
what
to
I have,
connect with him in
Kajabi.
general and be
If
like, dude, I'm glad that you were using this because it convinced me to use it because it was such a better like interface.
oh, now I want to look. Is it the-summerschool.com?
Yeah, that's just the like Squarespace landing page. But then to become a
Okay.
member, it's like paywalled. But
Yep.
I'll get you inside. We'll get you looking at
I
it.
would love that. I would love to see it.
Yes,
I
maybe you
love
can get
seeing how
involved.
other people like teach and just other people like how they interact. Because I used to be a teacher. That was like my day job before being a photographer, and the art of teaching is just fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching other people teach. It's inspiring to me.
I love that. Yeah, you should look into Linzel's like paid community as well.
Yeah,
Just connect with him because the Circle platform is really cool. And yeah, I don't know. I'll chat with you after about it and stuff. This
okay.
will just become an ad for Linzel, but it is cool. What he's doing is very different. So it is interesting. Just like trend forecasting, I guess. But
Yeah, I love it.
yeah.
I love that idea.
Um man, to wrap it up, I was gonna ask you something and now I literally forgot on our detour. Man,
You'll remember after we hang up.
I
That's
know,
what'll
I really
happen.
will. I actually used to ask people this question I'm about to ask you, and I haven't asked it to people in a while, but I taught on something where I mentioned mine. So I'm going to ask you because I can't remember what I was going to ask you. But I used to ask people if they have like a mission statement, what would
Mm,
it be or what is it? If you have one, that'd be cool. And if you don't, normally kind of what pops into your mind when I said that probably is a little bit about who you are and, like I'll give an example of mine, which could be nothing like yours. Like my husband's would probably be like to make art for that people love or something. I don't know. Something very more emotional. Mine is like I want to live to work. I don't want to work to live. I want to love what I'm
mm,
doing so much that it no longer feels like work, even if it is, or be so privileged that passive income things are supporting me well enough that I don't have to, whatever that life
yeah.
might look like. But for some people, it's like, I just want to make art that people love or I want to, spend, who knows what it is. Anyways, if you have one, what is it? If you don't have one and something's popped into your mind, I would love for you to share
Yeah.
it with everyone.
I don't have a mission statement that I wrote down, but I was in my subscription platform. I had a girl come on that does all my copywriting for me, or a lot of my
Mm,
copywriting for me. And I was having her teach my mastermind students all about finding your brand voice. And one of the exercises that she had was, what is the one thing you want people to know about you more than anything else? And the first thing that popped up in my mind, which I guess could be a mission statement, is I want other people to understand that I cared about them more than I cared about myself.
mm,
So I guess that's
No,
probably
I love that.
the one thing that pops into my head.
Well, I feel like for everyone, it's like whatever pops into your head is probably the most likely thing that you should tell us, and so
Yeah,
I love
most
that.
genuine.
That's so fun. Oh my gosh, so fun. Well, thank you so much for answering my very impromptu question that I feel like
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Why would you not warn me that you're gonna ask this?" Um, is there anything final you wanna leave us on, Vanessa, that maybe places people can keep up with you, connect with you, find you, things you're doing right now? I don't Are you still running a subscription platform? I'd love for you to
I
tell us about
am.
everything.
I have so many free things for photographers too. If you just go to my website, vanessajoy.com, VANESSAJOY, there's a little, it's a splash page because, for my consumer websites, but then there's for photographers. There's a ton on there. I have like a calendar you can sync up for like where I do workshops everywhere. There's free stuff on there, paid stuff, YouTube links, podcast links. There's so much stuff on there. So you can just see all that I do,
Perfect.
vanessajoy.com.
And then on Instagram, we'll connect all of that as well. We'll connect
Yeah,
Instagram, YouTube, website, all the things in the show note, the description, the blog, wherever you want to find this. But thank you so much for coming on. And I can't wait to connect with you in real life one day. We
one
have got
day.
to make this happen. We've been in the same space, but didn't meet each other.
Yes. And we have the same friends.
Oh, yes, we have to make this happen. But thank you guys for listening. And I can't wait to catch you guys next week.